point in your journey over the last 10 years did you guys realise that you were shifting into something that really sounds like a pretty grown-up, pretty serious business?
I said to Lloyd at the time, I just want to quit. He was like, no, we're almost there. Come on, stick with it, stick with it. Constantly analysing, how could you do things better? If you're just there patting yourself on the back saying, we're brilliant at this running a business thing, you're never going to improve.
You're about to meet Dan Nolton. Dan Nolton is one half of Nolton, a marketing, creative video, social media marketing agency that he runs alongside his brother Lloyd. Now, they've been running their business for over 11 years, and what you're going to hear is very much around what they've had to do alongside working hard that has meant that they have not only scaled their team, but they're now working with huge brands on global campaigns and able to take their whole team away to Ibiza earlier this year. So really a conversation around the grit and determination that is needed to build an agency and the reality of what starts to happen as you scale. Welcome to Don't Work Harder, the business show brought to you by Atomic, and I'm your host, Suman Randhawa. This is the show where we teach you how you can take huge leaps in your business, not just by working harder, but by working braver. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Great to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, one half of Dan and Lloyd.
One half of Dan and Lloyd, correct?
Yeah, like 11 years in business with your brother. 11 years in business, firstly, like that's quite an achievement. But also to be able to work with a family member for 11 years. Asking for a friend, what's the secret?
It's been pretty bad, to be honest.
No,
I'm joking.
stop it.
No, it's been a lot of learning. I think we really weren't that great at working together 11 years ago. But over time, we've got to learn how to work well together. And it's taken a lot to get here. But I feel like we work quite well together now. But it's taken time.
Back in 2014, you guys had an idea and you started working, I'm assuming from home.
From my parents' spare room.
From your parents' spare room. And you say 3 years of experimentation before in 2017, one of you had an idea, because surely it was one of you, right, about doing a really clever Facebook testimonial. Could you just tell me a bit about what was that turning point and what was your business at that point?
Oh, that's a long time ago now. Starting out, so I basically just, I finished university. I started working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Yeah. Did a graduate scheme there, worked my way up the ranks. And after a year, not to get deep really early, but I basically had like a breakdown because...
Okay, that's quite deep.
Yeah,
right.
That is quite deep. But it tees up how we got to where we got to. So I basically got hired extremely quickly because I was good at sales. But I was managing a team of 9, 250 cars, and it was just really stressful.
Wow,
so they're like,
straight out of uni pretty much.
Yeah. So they're like, you're good at sales, we're going to promote you. Now manage a team of people. I had no idea how to do that, what I was doing. So I was doing well, but it got to a point where I was like, this is really not fun. I really don't like my life. And I did the classic thing. I called my parents up crying and they said...
And how did that go?
I think they were just concerned about me, to be honest. So I just said, look, I don't know what to do with myself. I was living in Crawley on my own at the time.
Right.
Didn't have any friends there or anything because I moved to a branch there that I got promoted to. And then I moved back with my parents, and my dad, who's been in business for years, said to me, you've got two choices. You either go back into the corporate world, work for another Enterprise Rent-A-Car. And I was like... Definitely not. What's the other option? And he was like, or you can start your own thing. What you learn at university when it comes to marketing, you can start to do that yourself. So did that. And now coming on to your question. So spent the first 3 years really just trying and testing everything.
So how did you then persuade your brother to come in with you?
So funnily enough, he also hated his job at the same time.
Runs in the family, yeah.
We're great at hating jobs. Yeah. So he had a boss that he really didn't get on with at the time. Okay. And they clashed a lot. Right. And around the same time as I was having my breakdown, he was not enjoying his job. Okay. We were both like, right, let's do this together. Right. So... and
did you know what you wanted to do?
Not exactly. I guess I did business management with marketing at the University of Brighton.
Yeah.
But to be really honest with you, I didn't learn a huge amount about marketing. I learned how to pass an exam.
Okay.
I got a first. I did really well, but I don't remember much about what I learned. I just spent time learning how to do well.
Yeah, you were just very good at doing the assignments and the
do you
exams.
know what I mean? So, did that. And then, we started working together. And
what was it? What was the business?
Oh, sorry. So at the time, I spent all my time, I had a real interest in social media.
Okay.
And I was reading these articles and tutorials about how to grow a following, and it started on Twitter. So I'd spend all my kind of time learning how to grow an audience on Twitter at the time. Don't even do anything on Twitter anymore, or X now.
Yeah.
But learning, applying what I'd learned, and I ended up growing like 50,000 followers on Twitter.
Wow.
And thought, I said to Lloyd, like, we can teach other people how to do this. So really the first sort of business was us doing social media training. That evolved into like Lloyd could build websites randomly. So he started offering to build websites. And it was a mix mash of like weird stuff to do with marketing.
And then you guys, your turning point, you always say, was 2017 when there were these crazy like parody sketches that you did that turned into this Facebook content around testimonials. Who had that idea?
I want to say, I hate to say it was probably Lloyd, because he is very creative and very funny.
Okay.
And he comes up with some great ideas. I'm sure I contributed.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But it was probably a team effort, but he probably had the original idea.
And what was it about that? Because you guys called that, you said it's almost when you accidentally coined advertainment. So what was it that you did that meant that video suddenly blew things up for you?
Yeah. So we tried and tested loads of different things. We were creating content, websites, email marketing. We were doing all this stuff, blogging, did a lot of tutorials.
So all kind of connected to like digital and online. Yeah.
And like, to be honest, in the first few years of the business, we didn't grow much. So it was doing okay. We were like taking on small local businesses, but we weren't really gaining much traction. And then we had this idea in 2017. So we wanted to create a testimonials video with our customers saying nice things about working with us. But we knew that testimonials videos are boring, right? Like no one wants to sit through our customers saying, oh, Dan and Lloyd and Nolton are great. So we had this idea. And it was in two parts. The first part was we went out and interviewed our actual customers because we wanted them to say nice things about working with us.
Of course.
We wanted to build trust. We wanted to have that as part of it. What we also did was, the second part was Lloyd and I dressed up as different characters in fake mustaches and wigs, pretending to be our own customers, talking about how brilliant it is to work with Dan and Lloyd. It's very witty, very fun, but they were clearly us dressed as people pretending to be our customers. And we cut the fake interviews in between the real interviews, and we created this like 5-minute testimonials video. And at the end of the video, this was the key part. At the end of the video, we had some text pop up that said, you've literally been watching an advert for our marketing agency for 5 minutes. Imagine what we could do for you.
Fantastic.
So if it worked, we didn't know if it would or not. If people did watch the full 5-minute video and get to the end, it was a clear thing in their mind of like, oh, I've just watched an advert for 5 minutes and loved it, and I want to work with these guys. And we posted it on Facebook and got loads of views, loads of engagement, and it drove more new business for our agency than anything we'd ever done in the past.
And before that point, where had the business been coming from? We're going to take a short pause to hear from one of our sponsors. Sponsors help us make the best show possible. Don't Work Harder is sponsored by Constant Contact, the digital marketing platform built with small business owners in mind. With Constant Contact, you can grow your contacts list, send out more emails, organise social media and events, and simply get more done with their advanced automation tools. It's everything you need to grow your business, advance your automation, and attract more of the right customers all in one place. Visit constantcontact.com to get started. Before that point, where had the business been coming from?
So a big part of it was we were creating articles, like blogs on our website. Anything we learned, for example, growing a Twitter following, we would write an article, like a tutorial. We got a lot of inspiration from places like Social Media Examiner, Content Marketing Institute. So we were mainly writing educational blogs and articles. Also things like networking. We went to networking breakfasts and things. We'd also tested like just creating funny videos. So we created sketch videos prior to that 2017 moment, got loads of views and engagement, but no business. And we were like, it's all good and well creating funny videos that everyone's like, this is amazing. But if it doesn't drive any business for us, what's the point? And that then evolved into the testimonials video, which combined fun and entertaining and advertising to create advertainment.
And when you got to 2017 and that happened, was that when you were starting to think, okay, we think we can see what the shape of the business is going to look like?
I guess almost, because we'd proven it worked for our agency. We hadn't proven it worked for anyone else. So then the next stage from us realizing, we've got something here. We've got an approach to marketing that everyone seems to love, and it drives sales. The next point was trying it with other businesses. And our first business we did it with, I remember, was this gym in Maidstone called Core the Gym in Maidstone. And we created this like campaign where we did a lot of video content around gym bro culture, tied it in with a paid social campaign, and it did incredibly well. And that was the moment where it was like, right, we do it for us and it worked. Now we've done it for an actual real life business and it worked. And from then on, it's been like, keep doing it with bigger, better, more well-known brands over 10 years. And then we get to here. That's kind of...
And you called yourselves an agency when you were referring to yourselves. So like from very early on, you didn't see yourselves as two founders. You saw yourself as an agency, did you?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like we didn't know what we were doing. I naively just looked at other marketing people in Kent who I met at networking events, and they called themselves an agency. So we're like, we're an agency. Really? It was Lloyd and I sitting in our parents' spare room, not making much money, not really knowing what we were doing. But I guess it was the whole kind of fake it till you make it. We had a website. We had some success with small businesses. And then we'd build on that. That's why we kind of started as an agency.
And what steps did it then take for you guys to move from the bedroom? I'm assuming you've moved out of the bedroom now. What were the steps that you took?
So, okay, the first step was Lloyd and I in our parents' spare room managed to get enough work that we were really busy and stressed.
Okay.
That was step one.
Not that pattern again.
No. So we were quite stressed and we were like, there's too much for us to do here. So we hired our cousin, Ross, who took on some of the admin and stuff to free up a bit of our time so that we could do more marketing and not just be in the business, but work on it and stuff. Then the same thing happened. Ross was completely filled up with work. So we hired our friend's girlfriend.
Yeah.
So then there was 4 of us working for my parents' spare room.
Wow.
And we thought it would be weird. Now we can't just hire people we know. If we hired someone we don't know, like come to my parents' house in a room.
It's just the bedroom upstairs.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were like, we actually need to get an office. Then we got an office in Manston, kitted it all out. And that was a big moment for us, I guess. Like, we've actually got an office that isn't, my mum's not hoovering in the background like she does it when we're at home.
And how many years into the business was that?
That was probably like 4 years in.
Okay.
Ish, 4 or 5 years in.
So talk about 2018,
yeah,
2019.
Yeah.
Just before the pandemic. And I feel like it would be, it just wouldn't make sense for me not to ask you if the pandemic had an impact on your business.
I feel really bad when I talk about this because...
Did you have a good time?
It was a terrible time for the world.
Yeah.
It was a terrible time for the world. Bad things happened. But it was really great for our business.
Yeah.
Because everyone went online. Everyone realized they need to create content in digital platforms and reach their customers online versus in person. So we worked on a number of big projects for some really cool brands because of that went really well. Also, one example is we were working with Wall, the clipper brand. It's like a 100-year-old clipper brand. At the time, everyone was cutting their own hair. Do you remember, like?
Yes.
So
I'm remembering the videos of watching how to cut people's hair. Yeah.
We did this campaign that just went through the roof, hugely successful. Obviously, it was tied in with something going on in the world where there was a huge demand for clippers.
Of course.
But it was like hugely successful, and that created that they kept investing more and more and more because it was working so well. And that was a really good moment for us. And then we built off of that as well. You know, we had that great case study. That's one of the things that we've done actually that we are really good at. We call them stepping stone clients.
Okay. What do you guys do then? So let's almost go back to the point at which you're starting to get like those mid-level clients. You will, what did a traditional case study, your idea of a traditional case study look like?
So at the time, I guess our first like well-known brand was like Eurotunnel, the underground train system.
Yeah.
What we do is like create as much content around it as possible. So for example, let's say Eurotunnel signed up to work with us. We would be creating content on social media saying, we've just won a really cool contract with this amazing brand. How exciting is it? We'd obviously have to get it signed off by the brand and stuff.
I was going to ask that,
But we'd do that. We'd have it in our weekly newsletter. We'd create ads about that. We'd then do behind the scenes content. And this has evolved over the years. Now we put like a lot of resource into people creating behind the scenes content on their phone, videographers creating professional content that like higher production content that we put in different places. So we create this whole ecosystem of content and then do things like run ads with that content. So we've got a really successful campaign going on at the moment on LinkedIn where we have case study campaigns promoting loads of content about what we're doing, reaching other senior marketers from brands to attract them to see like, oh, they're doing something really cool with that brand. I want a part of that. And
how quickly do you measure whether that level of investment is paying off for you? Obviously now you're at the agency is a completely different size, but as you were growing, as you were scaling up, what was the measure of knowing, right, it is worth us putting more money into this?
I think in the early days, there wasn't a measure. It was just intuition.
Right.
So
okay.
Like,
I love a bit of gut.
This seems to be doing, working. And then as we've built a team and got bigger, we've had to have more processes and more data to back up what we're actually thinking. So we now use something called the Entrepreneur's Operating System, which is like a framework for running a business. And every week there's these weekly meetings where we look at all of our clients and ourselves. So we treat ourselves as a client. Are we on or off track with where we need to be based on what was set out at the start of the project? And then we have discussions around that and set actions and things. It all sounds very boring.
I mean, it sounds really grown up, actually. It sounds really, it actually sounds amazing.
No, I feel like I'm saying it, I'm like, God, this is boring. But it's as we've got bigger, and it's not just Lloyd and I and our parents per room, like we've realized we've had to have these processes in place to actually grow. And, now we've got a number of people, we've got to pay their livelihoods and stuff. It's like, if we muck up and it was me and him, it's like, oh, okay, we just need to really figure this out. But with everyone's lives, if we muck up their lives as well. So it's like a bit of pressure, more pressure. That's why the processes and the boring stuff is important.
But that's a theme that comes across every time I get someone in who is running a team. And I think is yours approximately 15 and then like 50 freelancers? Yeah,
in the office now it's around, it might be 12 because we've just someone, and it's a new person
just
started today.
Someone.
No, but it kind of fluctuates in and out the office. So 12 in the office.
Yeah.
And then we've got kind of 5 or 6 full-time contractors and then a pool of like 50 freelancers that we bring in for bigger projects. That's a lot of
responsibility.
Yeah. But I guess with the freelancers, it's not like we're paying them full-time. We bring them in and out as projects come in.
Sure.
So it's not like we've got 50 people to pay their wages all the time. It kind of is a good way to scale up and down.
But even with that, like, as I'm speaking to people, I mean, even whether it's 12 or 15, that's still a significant number of people. Like that really comes across, like what happens when you know that you have that responsibility. At what point in your journey over the last 10 years did you guys realize that you were shifting into something that really sounds like a pretty grown up, pretty serious business?
Yeah, it's weird because I still don't feel grown up because me and Lloyd are brothers and we love spending time together and it's fun. And I guess, the hiring people one is when it feels more serious. And I guess hiring people that wasn't my cousin or our mate's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Hiring a stranger, not a stranger, but someone you don't know.
Of course.
I think that was probably a point where I was like, oh, there's someone, we've got to pay them money.
Yeah, we have to behave.
Yeah, we have to behave. So that was, I guess, one of the moments. Getting the office was another moment. I think the biggest, most recent one, which made me think like, and it seems stupid because we've done lots of amazing campaigns and stuff, and I should be like, oh yeah, of course we're brilliant. But we delivered this global TV and social campaign that we shot in the Bahamas the start of this year.
Amazing.
And it was like shot in 4 languages. It was TV, social, out of home. It was a huge thing with a crew of like 30 people.
Wow.
And after that, it was like a roller coaster, so much preparation, so much work went into it from our team. They were like brilliant. We got to the end of it. We delivered the assets. The campaign went live and we got like this insanely good testimonial from the client. And honestly, that is one of the proudest moments of my life. And I look at that and I was like, how have we done that? And again, it was mainly our team. Like, I just get to do this and talk about it. They pulled that off.
Of course.
That makes me feel like a real business owner. Like, we actually did that.
And when that client, how did you win that client, or how did that client come to you?
I'll tell you, it's very niche. I guess not niche, but around 4 years ago, we went to an event in Ibiza called Agency Hackers, which is like an event for agency owners. And Lloyd and I spoke at the event, shared our journey and our story, similar to this, but to a live audience. And there was an audience there, spoke to lots of people. 2 years later, or 3 years later, random lady messages me on LinkedIn. I saw you speak at that event 2 years ago. I work with this brand. I love what you guys are about. Do you want to speak to them and pitch them? And I'm recommending you. I was like, this is amazing. And then we went through a process that was like a 12-month process of pitching them. They ghosted us for 6 months, didn't speak to us. So we were like, oh, we haven't won it. And then they came back and they said they want to do it. And it was like, euphoric isn't even the word. When we got that signed contract for this project, it was like amazing.
Isn't that just a reminder of the longevity sometimes of the cycle of clients? And when you think about what's been like, but particularly for yourself, you're the one that is mainly, I think, does the sales and marketing. Is that right?
I kind of lead it. There's lots of team members supporting and stuff, but I lead it.
You're the face of.
Yeah, I guess so.
And when you consider that actually ended up taking 4 years, what is the biggest lesson there that you tend to share with the team when you guys are pitching? There's
a lot. I guess it comes down to looking at when our first pitches, they were awful. They were really embarrassingly bad. And over time, and it's taken 10 years to learn this, but over time, you start to notice things and realize, like, for example, one example is in the early days, we used to pitch in a very traditional pitch format, like, hello brand, this is us. Look at Nolton, this is what we've done. Me, us. Look at our team. And you start to learn that they just switch off because they don't care about you. They care about, they've got a problem they want solving. Yeah. How are you going to solve that problem? So over time, we started to notice that they were drifting off when talking about. So we flipped it, and we now lead all our pitches as if we're like a doctor diagnosing a problem. So in the pitch, we show, like, we understand you, brand. This is what you're all about. We understand you've got this problem. The impact of that problem is X, Y, Z. That's going to be bad for your business, and that could be the impact. But we've got a solution. Look what you can do to solve that problem. Look at this cool thing that can be done to solve that problem, and examples of how we've done it for other world leading brands. And you start to notice that because they care about their own problems and their own brand, you're talking about them from the get-go, and their faces light up, and it's like, oh, this is about us. This is really cool. And then at the end, we like do a quick, like, we're Nolton, this is what we've done. So it's less like about us from the start. And that's just one of 1,000 things that we've learned from seeing people's reactions to pitches.
And can you think of any times where you have had some things go wrong?
Oh, yeah, I can. This is going to give me nightmares bringing this up because it was a bad time. But
oh dear!
I'm gonna share it with you.
Just share it with me. We won't tell anyone.
And I guess it was less. You won't share it, but no. It was less to do with pitching. It was more to do with working with a very well-known brand.
Okay.
Here we go. So, I think I've come to learn, as you work with bigger, more well-known brands, the pressure builds.
Yeah.
One, you just want to do a great job for them. But two, they've got lots of people in the business. There's boards that are putting pressure on them to put pressure on you to make sure things go well. And there was this one project, we signed a contract with this very well-known brand that I won't mention who it is. And it was a strategy project. So we'd agreed a certain timeline for this project that we were going to support them to develop this strategy. And we started, it was going well. But then we immediately started to get pressure to completely cut the timeline down that we'd previously agreed in the contract.
Okay.
They were like, the boards put pressure on me. We need to do this in like half the time.
Right. So your delivery has to be in less time.
You can imagine like how stressful that is.
Yeah.
We've set out this plan. We know we can do a great job in this time, but you want it in this time.
And you also know there's the potential of winning that piece of business.
Yes. So that was the first small project. And this could be huge for our business. So even more pressure for me from a sales perspective for this to go right. And also I think I put a lot of my self-worth on the business and what people say about the business and our reputation. So even as another layer of, I don't want a very credible brand to not like working with us. So Lloyd and I ended up working evenings, weekends, and this main contact at the brand kept putting pressure on us to show them the work we'd done, but we didn't want to because we weren't at a point where we felt comfortable that it was at a good place yet. And I remember this one pivotal moment when I got a phone call from the main contact, and I told you like how attached I am to the business and its success. And they said to me on the phone, I'm really disappointed in this. And I was like, oh, that really hurt. And I actually said to Lloyd at the time, because I've been working so long on this, I said to him, I just want to quit. I just think we should give them the money back and I don't want to do it because I felt so crap in that moment.
Yeah.
And I would genuinely meant it. I was like, I don't care about the money. I feel so stressed right now. And then he was like, no, we're almost there. Come on, stick with it. And I was like, okay, like we'll stick with it. And then we got to the meeting point. We got to the day of the meeting with all the senior team, the board and everything to present this strategy. I was bricking it.
Yeah, because you'd already been told that I am disappointed.
Yeah, I'm a disappointment. So,
great.
But only because they didn't see anything, which I do understand, but it's because the timeline was cut so low. But we got to the point where we were really happy with what we'd done, but I was still bricking it. And then we got on the call, delivered. It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours of delivering this stuff. And I was there like thinking, right, come on, what are they going to say, what they're going to say. And honestly, to my surprise, they loved it. They absolutely loved, because of the level of detail, because we'd put so much effort into it, they absolutely loved it. After that call, I was again like jumping around, so happy. And that whole process and that brand is now one of our biggest retainers.
Because that's what I was going to ask. What did you learn from that then? What did that change for you, that experience? It's
difficult because I want to say like, don't put yourself through that ever again because it was horrendous.
Yeah.
But it's been so beneficial to our business. I guess the one useful lesson is when you feel you're at that breaking point, and I don't know if this is good or bad advice, but when you feel you're at that breaking point, if you can just push past that, then my lesson from this is that good things will happen. You know, when you feel like quitting and it's like, and I literally said to Lloyd, I don't want to do this.
I'm done.
And then hats off to him for like supporting and saying, no, we got this. Pushed through, worked hard, got it done, and it's ended in one of our biggest success stories.
And actually, that's quite a good point because often we give that advice, particularly like in the coaching world, like being a sales consultant or coach, it's, push through. Often success is just on the other side of what feels uncomfortable. But what's your measure of knowing when it's time to twist on something you're doing or stick, and when it's time to keep pushing through?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's really difficult to answer because I think it does come a lot down to intuition and experience, rather than like a specific, look out for this light bulb flashing, and then you're and I think that a key thing for me is being able to discuss it with someone else who I trust with my life, Lloyd, my brother and business partner. We can have those conversations and I can say, I'm thinking this about this. And he will say, yeah, I've been thinking about that. Here's my opinion. That is that validation. If our intuition is saying something, then that's kind of it.
What is that process in your agency now then? So you've talked about kind of having 12 plus members of the team. Obviously, you two are at the top. The business has got your name. Yeah. So who is involved in those decisions outside of the two of you?
So we now have two amazing senior team members, Yasmin and Eleanor.
Yeah.
Eleanor is our head of production who manages our production team.
Okay.
Yaz is our marketing manager who manages our marketing team.
Yeah.
Every month they're involved in our kind of monthly management meetings. So they contribute to a lot of the big decisions because they're so close to the teams.
Yeah.
It's really good to have them involved. We're a bit more distant from that now.
Yeah.
Although we're still involved and we still see everyone every day, we're slightly more distant from the weeds of the nuts and bolts of everything. Although we do get involved with strategy and things like that. So having them and having people we can trust to contribute their unique opinions into what we're doing has really helped us over the last few years.
And when were you able to bring in like two people at that senior level? That must have been like quite a turning point in the agency.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think they both joined around 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I think they've been in more senior roles for, I guess, the last year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, so you actually saw them grow in the business first.
Yeah.
Yeah, before just bringing in two senior people.
No, that's one of the amazing things. Like,
okay.
Almost all of the time, we promote from within. So we build people come in at a junior level and they work with us, and they, the ones that are really motivated and kind of climb that ladder, we want to reward them, and we want to reward them for trying hard and putting the work in. And yeah, that's what we tend to do.
And you said about when you were managing at just 21, 22 years old, I'm assuming you were about that age, compared to now, like what have you guys learned about keeping a team and growing a team? Because again, and we spoke about this off camera, some people come in and say we only hire expensive. Yeah. Some talk about we hire inexperienced and train. Yeah. What's your thinking?
I guess it is that cliche thing, but it is about culture. We don't just put a ping pong table in and be like, oh, we do ping pong. Yeah. We haven't got a ping pong table. Although I would quite like one. But, yeah. I think we show the team that we want to reward them for hard work. I'll give you a specific example. So every year we set very clear revenue profit goals for the business, and the team have full transparency every week on all the numbers.
Do they?
We report on them, and they're involved in that. Like they see if we win a client and then the numbers are going up or if they're going down, they know what's going on.
Right.
And every year we set a goal.
Yeah.
And we set rewards depending on what percentage of that goal we hit. I was going to
ask that, yeah.
So
for the whole team?
For the whole team.
Okay.
So for the second year in a row, we just took everyone to Ibiza for a week.
Amazing.
All expenses paid, and had an amazing time. And that was like the reward that was in that percentage bracket.
And shut the agency?
No. So
how does it work?
Yeah, good question. So the team worked for 2 of the days from Ibiza.
Yeah.
We also had a couple of team members who decided not to come, and they stayed in the office. And also Lloyd and I were just sort of available and stuff.
Still your phone was there if you needed anything.
But there was still lots of fun had. Although there was some work and stuff, there was lots of fun had. And that was, Lloyd and I could have, if we didn't care about that, we could have taken a nice chunk of money for ourselves and gone and treated our families to something. But we're like, no, we want to give this back to the business, the team that actually deliver the work. It's funny because going through growing the business, a lot of the time on social media, people comment on our content because it's through my profile, like, well done, Dan. You did a really good job, Dan. And they all poke fun at me like, it's not me. It's them. They're doing it. So always want to try and show, and reward them for the hard work they've done, because they are genuinely an incredible team, and they're the ones that make this all happen.
Of course.
I just get to shout about it and talk about it with you.
Yeah. And the thing is, for us to be able to kind of rely on a team, particularly when it's your business that you've built. So what are the challenges, or what are the things that you worry about at this stage of business that differ from, before you started employing people and moving out of your parents' bedroom?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things. I think in my role, it's generating enough business to make this work. The more people you hire, the higher the costs.
Of course.
The higher the pressure on me, especially in the team, to keep winning business, to keep growing.
Because you head up the pitches, do you?
Exactly, yeah. So if we're not winning enough business, it's on my head, and I have to report on that, and I have to say why we're not doing that and what the plan is to overcome that. And this is the thing about agency life. Like, it genuinely is a roller coaster. No matter where you get to, even when we're absolutely killing it, there's still a challenge that pops up and it's like, I've never dealt with that in my life. We're going to have to figure out how to do that. So there's constant challenges. I think that's one of the main ones for me, the pressure.
Even now that things come up that are a first.
Yeah, and I guess that goes on to the second point, which I'm not going to go into lots of detail here because it's personal to people, but people challenges.
Yeah.
We're all humans. We all have specific challenges in our life, and we're trying to get a group of people together to achieve certain outcomes for the brands that we work with. But things come up in people's lives, some very serious things, some less serious things. And again, this is more of a Lloyd thing, managing this.
Yeah.
But that's something that affects everything, you know, managing people and keeping people happy and making sure they're doing what they want to do.
And what do you have to have in place then for a growing business with a growing team? Because you're so right. And it's, you know, even if I speak to my local salon owner and I'm like, oh, amazing, you've got like 2 or 3 shops now. It's really interesting. Like she was saying to me, well, more shops, more staff, more challenges. Yeah. So what have you guys learned is useful for you to have in place in order to support you? Yeah. Because you're right, we're humans. We're all going to deal in different ways.
Policies is a big one.
Yeah.
You know, my dad he used to be a lean manufacturing consultant. So he's well into processes and things like that. And he's helped there. But yeah, policies and processes really is the big one. And if you don't necessarily know what they should be, there's lots of consultants out there that you can work with. Also, you know, looking to things like ChatGPT to get some general advice if you're at a starting point could be good as well.
And what did you guys realise that as a duo, as you were starting to grow, that you weren't good at, and what did you do about it?
Oh, I'm crap at loads of stuff. I'm naturally not good at managing people. I've really struggled with that over time. Lloyd tells me I've got a lot better, but that's something that I'm very like, I tend to naturally work better on my own, and like, you know, with our sales and stuff, just go tunnel vision and just go all in on this thing. Whereas as the business has grown, Lloyd's very good at saying to me, Dan, you need to delegate. You need to bring in the wider team. We're all a team here. And over the years, I've really taken that feedback on board. And so, yeah, naturally, that's one thing. Also, being organised and stuff. I've got an amazing PA now that changed my life, literally.
Right. Yeah.
She organises my life because I'm crap at organising stuff. Another thing I'm very naturally not good at is taking criticism. So when we first started the business, this is where Lloyd and I used to not fall out, but have disagreements, is when we'd critique each other, I would take it very personally. Whereas what he was actually trying to do was just help us run a better business. I'd take it very personally. Now, 10 years on, we've got to a point where we can have very deep, meaningful conversations critiquing each other.
About the business.
And how each other's behaving in the business and how we're operating. And even me, who was crap at taking feedback, I now... I'm like, can have a very adult conversation, be like, that's a really good point. I'm not doing good enough at that. I'm going to come up, I will action that and we'll talk about it next week. And like, we can have those that's what's helped us grow more recently in the last few years, is because we genuinely are aiming for the same thing. We both want to be as happy and as successful as possible. And we want that for each other. So knowing that we're brothers and we trust each other and want that to happen, and we can have those honest conversations, has really, really helped us.
And you've talked, like when I've listened to you on other podcasts, including your own, which obviously, as I shared with you, I just was laughing. There were just so many hilarious stories in there.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you guys speak about a bit, and without you going into like anything that you don't want to share, you talk about your 2030 vision. And it was so funny. I thought 2030 was years away. Then I was like, oh, hang on a minute. That's like in like 4 years. Yeah. So without telling me what your 2030 vision is, unless you want to, what do you have to have in place in order to regularly review where you are versus that 2030 plan?
So I'll quickly tell you what the 2030 plan is, and then the backstory as to how we created it.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So the 2030 plan is basically a 10-year plan, 2020 to 2030, which sets a kind of, call it an end point where we want the business to get to. Right. Revenue, profit, what the team should look like, what our finances should look like. So it's very clearly set out exactly where we want the business to be there. And then the plan is everything worked backwards from there.
Right.
So each year, 20, 21, 22, 23, leading up to that 2030 point, maps out detail around all of those elements to get to that final point.
So it's always referencing, does this get us closer to the goal? Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the 2030 plan. In terms of how we got there, why did we create it? Because lots of people critique long-term plans. Like, the world changes so quickly. Why did you need a 10-year plan? And I get it, but it's been hugely beneficial to us. It's iterated every year. It's slightly tweaked and changed depending on how the world's changed, but we still have that North Star and that end point that we're aiming towards. The reason we did it was because Lloyd went to a seminar, again, in around the time we started the business, a guy called James Sinclair. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yeah, I have heard of him.
He's got a really cool podcast and YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And one of his key takeaways with that seminar was, he said, anyone with a business, whether you're thinking of selling it or not, or you think you're going to have an end point or not, you need to decide, what is the end point I'm aiming for, and what does the business look like?
Right.
Revenue, profit, team size, finances. Then you can come up with a structured plan to get there. And he called me up after the event and was like, Dan, we need to do this. So we spent a whole day figuring it all out. And now we have monthly, quarterly meetings reviewing where are we on that path.
So I was going to ask you, so every month and every quarter with your senior team?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The quarterly meetings are much more in depth. The monthly ones are more just a brief chat. Where are we?
Where's
the quarterly
numbers?
ones are like deep conversations on, are we where we need to be? What's got us there? Or if not, what do we need to change to get there?
And when we look at like all of these years that you've achieved in business so far, which is which is an anomaly in itself, because so many people don't get past those first few years. What's felt like the hardest year?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably around 3 or 4 years ago. Like 3, and I'll tell you what.
Post-pandemic, yeah.
I'll tell you one of the main reasons why that we learned from this, which is a massive mistake. We made so many mistakes in the past. We used to, usually as an agency model, there's 2 things you can do. There's projects and retainers. Projects are like one-off projects where someone says they want a certain outcome and you deliver it in 1, 2, 3 months. Retainers like a monthly ongoing investment over a period of a year, 2 years. We only ever did projects up to that point.
Okay.
So imagine the person that's responsible for getting new business, constantly having to get new leads, new opportunities to feed into that. We used to do nothing to try and keep customers. Like, we deliver good work and get good results, but we didn't have any account management processes where we're like, let's actually like meet them and like try and get them to spend more with us by showing them, here's where you were, here's where you now, look at the results we've achieved. We had nothing around that. So that was the biggest mistake for us. We all we did was projects. We didn't do anything to try and get old customers to work with us again. And the business was, I was incredibly stressed. That was probably the worst time for us. And then we flipped it on its head, and we've done so much better because of that. Now we focus mainly on retainers. We also do projects, but that retainer work gives us that security. So someone's signing up for a year versus just a single project. We now have a whole account management plan where we're working with customers to make sure they're happy, getting feedback from them, getting them to spend more, presenting results to them more. Yeah, so there's a whole set of processes.
And how long did that process take, the transition from how things were running to, sounds like crisis point, and you being like, this is a lot of pressure on me? I mean,
it seems so stupid about how we were so naive, but the change of just like pitching retainers versus projects happened instantly.
Okay.
Because we were like, let's just stop, because all we were doing was pitching projects.
Of course.
Like, why were we winning just projects? Because we were just pitching projects. We were just saying, we'll do a project for you. Whereas what most agencies did is pitch retainers, so that happened instantly. But then I guess it's been like, it took a year or so after that to iterate that process and update everything. But yeah, so stupid. Like, you'll win the type of work that you're pitching. And
talk to me about, how would somebody know what is housed under what you do?
So we class ourselves more as a creative marketing agency now.
Yeah. Okay.
And what we're mainly known for is our unique approach that we call advertainment, or entertaining advertising. That's now really evolved into marketing that, 1, people enjoy consuming, and 2, generates results.
Right.
That's our approach. It doesn't have to be funny, you don't have to be comedic, but it's marketing that people enjoy consuming and drives great results. In terms of how we do that, it did used to be a lot of social media, video, that kind of thing. We've now moved on to like TV, in-person activations. We did a massive in-person activation at London Victoria with Mr. Motivator and stuff. Like we've kind of branched out to other areas and applied that kind of ethos of what our marketing is about, advertainment, into different channels and approaches. Like we now work with creators and influencers as well. Yeah. Paid social ads. You know, there's the whole range of things we do.
And actually, that was something that was so important that you've just picked up on there. It's the whole thing about advertainment is the emotional connection, and it doesn't just have to be humor. And I remember, like, when I was kind of like researching and looking into that, I was like, right, yeah, that's crucial, and that is key, is it's creating an emotional reaction. Tell me a little bit about just that, kind of, as we kind of like try and explain to somebody why that's been important for you.
Yeah, I think we kind of shot ourselves in the foot early on, because we kept shouting about this advertainment. It's funny, you know, it has to be funny in the early stages, because originally a lot of our content and the campaigns we did were funny. And we kind of put ourselves into a corner because there was brands approaching us that were like, love that, we're not funny, we're a very serious brand, what can you do for us? Then we were like, that's a good point. This whole advertainment thing actually doesn't have to just be funny. Like you say, it's all about triggering some kind of emotion. So we relaunched Sunny D in the UK a few years ago, and it was a really special campaign for me. Went really well, and we lent heavily into nostalgia, like 90s nostalgia, because it triggered that kind of emotion in millennials who grew up in the 90s. We've done educational campaigns that are more serious, but it's helping people. Like, it doesn't just have to be funny, it's about triggering that kind of, and also it can make people feel sad. Like, it can be emotive. You know, if you look back at your kind of social feed of things you've shared, I guarantee you've shared it because it's triggered some kind of emotion. It made you feel something, you know? And that's what we're trying to do. It's not just about being funny, it's about creating something that people actually want to watch, but also designed in a way to sell them stuff ultimately.
And it's because what's the whole connection with emotions and people buying?
Because when people's emotions are triggered, they take action. And also, like, it's about keeping people watching as well. Like, if you're watching something and it's not making you feel anything, you're just going to instantly swipe. Whereas if you feel that connection, it's like John Lewis Christmas adverts. Like, when have you ever not watched one until the end because you want to hear how the story goes? It's making you feel in a certain way to keep watching. And if we can keep people watching, we can keep getting our messages across and ultimately getting them to do what we want them to.
How do you keep what you guys do as unique? Yet, no doubt, when you're working with these brands, they must have other agencies that they're working with. Like, doesn't that get really competitive?
I tell you what, like, in the early days, we had a different mindset.
Okay.
In the early days, I think we thought of other agencies as the enemy. It was like us and them, you know, we want them as a client. And to be fair, at the time, when we're working with small local businesses, they did tend to just have one agency. Right. So you weren't necessarily working collaboratively. Okay. It was like, either I win them as a client or you. Now, working with much bigger brands, they all work with multiple agencies and you're all aiming for the same goal. So it's so important now that you work collaboratively with other agencies and communicate with them, and, you know, all make it clear that we are one team aiming for this endpoint. If we all do things separately, then we're going to get this level of result. If we all actually come together and share ideas and support each other, then it's going to be way better. So now it's all about collaboration and working together.
And how do you do that? What does that look like then? What's the process?
Honest conversations.
So like picking up the phone and having a chat with them.
Yeah, having honest conversations, regular communication, not just emails, like even if a phone call or over Zoom or whatever.
And Dan, like when we walked in, thank you for all that you've been sharing as I've kind of grilled you today. I've like really, like, you know, like the way that I like to think about it is if someone is listening in that aspires to growing their business, having a team, running an agency, being in business for over 10 years, like what is it that they need to hear about what you did? What do you think what's the one thing that people don't realise about what life is like for Nolton that you wish they did?
I think I will share it. The trouble is I don't think they want to hear it.
Okay.
Because the honest answer is it's a lot of hard work over a long period of time. I think a lot of people want to hear the quick 3-step formula to success. Like, quickly, just do this thing, this, and this. The honest answer is taken a huge amount of work over a long period of time. But once you get to that point, now we have an amazing team, and we've got to that point. Now it's still hard work, but we now have a team that we trust and that really support with that. But that initial point when we were on our own, it took us just huge amounts of hard work, mistakes, lessons, resilience, things constantly going wrong, and us sticking at it. That's the honest answer. It's not the sexy one, though. I know everyone wants the quick 3 steps, but for us, it's been a million steps consistently over 10 years.
So don't work harder on its own. It's not about just working harder for you guys. It's actually been about the consistency.
Yeah.
And the resilience.
And I also think being critical of yourself. This is what Lloyd and I have been really good at. Constantly analysing, how could you do things better? If you're just there patting yourself on the back saying, we're brilliant at this running a business thing, you're never going to improve. So throughout that time of trying to grow your business, keep asking yourself, what can I do to improve? And get opinions from other people. Like Lloyd's my business partner. We give each other feedback. If you're a single founder, get feedback from peers in your industry and that kind of thing to help you.
Brilliant. Thank you. So I've got 2 closing questions that I'd love to ask you, if I may. We've got a bit of a tradition here. 60 seconds on the clock. Going to ask you a question, and then you've got 60 seconds to share the answer with me.
I'm scared.
It's not too difficult, I promise. I can see the question that's been asked, which is, in business, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and can you remember who it was from?
It's really simple, cliche, patience. When I first started the business with Lloyd, we were massive Gary V fans, Gary Vaynerchuk, and read all his books and everything. Don't follow his stuff much anymore, but at the time, he kept preaching about patience. And for us, my key lesson for running this business is it's taken us way longer than I thought to achieve what we want to achieve. And that key thing of being patient and knowing that if you keep putting in the work, you're going to get there. That's it, patience.
No, it's just been so brilliant and insightful listening to you. Let's end on a bit of a personal question around, what are you, this is really for myself, what are you watching, listening to and reading right now? And I promise that there are closing questions.
Okay. I'm a big podcast nerd.
Yeah.
So I love My First Million. And there's also a podcast I've just started listening to that I love from the 2 guys from In-Betweeners called Fact Up.
Okay.
Really
yeah,
good.
you said that very well. Yeah.
And what else am I watching? On TV, watch a lot of films.
Yeah.
And series. I like a lot of fantasy, Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a classic.
That's a big investment of time.
Yeah. But
Music-wise, is there anything that's...
Music-wise, I like a lot of grime, and also...
Amazing, particularly for running. Really great for running.
House music as well.
Yeah.
And reading, I don't do much reading at the minute. I've got really rubbish with reading.
Brilliant. Dan, I've absolutely loved chatting to you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that was an interesting conversation, wasn't it? And I always try and put myself in the shoes of those of you that are watching and listening and thinking, what is it that we would want to know? Other than, a lot of us will know Dan, so other than just kind of like hearing the story, what is that shift from being a solopreneur, working on your own, to when you are growing a team? Like, what things have to change for you? And clearly for Dan and Lloyd, it's like these huge additional responsibilities that they've had, but even really clever things like realizing that they didn't have that predictable, reoccurring revenue model that was coming in, and how they now target the whole team so that everybody feels very much part of and involved with their vision for where they want to be by 2030. So yeah, I think that was very insightful on the stepping stones that you need to take as you're growing and scaling. Thanks so much for listening to Don't Work Harder. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share. This show has been brought to you by Atomic, the home of epic business growth. Head to our website at atomic.site to hear more about our business programs and epic events.